What is going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about what is a cache and why it's a useful concept. So I figure the best way to explain this is just through a practical example using a standard backend service that's hosting traffic for a REST API. So let's run through what this example looks like. So for instance, we have two machines, so machine 1 and machine 2, and these are like computers here that with mouse and keyboard and all that kind of stuff. And this is your second computer here, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, so we have these two machines that are sitting in this environment. We also have a REST API that's sitting in front of them that is serving traffic to clients. So REST API here. Okay. And we also have a database, right, for our retrieval or persistence layer. So we have a database over here, and this is, of course, storing some data. So let's run through a hypothetical example of what a request comes in to this REST API where some data needs to be retrieved from the database. So say, for instance, we have a request that comes in for ID number 1. It's looking for object number 1. What happens next? So this machine gets the request. It comes from the REST API. The machine fetches your data. The database will look at the request, see if it has the data in the database, and it'll respond with the item if it has it and just an empty object if it doesn't, at which point it goes back to the application server, and then that goes, of course, back to the client. So let's think about why this is kind of a poor implementation. It's poor because there's a request that comes in here that you have a round trip that needs to be made to retrieve data from the database. You put additional load on this database, so now whenever this request comes in, you need to get some data. Then you have the response part of that request response model, and then of course that needs to get returned back to the client. So that's kind of a standard scenario of what a standard request reply model where a database is involved looks like. So now in terms of how that's different, or how it's different when a cache is involved, a cache is basically a subset of data that lives on a local machine. So a cache in this bottom scenario would live in memory, so in memory on this machine. So it wouldn't be on disk necessarily. And why this is useful is because in some cases it's appropriate to store copies of data on your local machine. Say for instance a scenario where you're retrieving maybe it's a config object from the database. You're just asking for that config object, and that's not going to change very often. Maybe once a month or once a year or something that's very consistent over time. Those are really what cacheable items are. So let's walk through an example now of what this may look like if a request comes in and how it's different than this model up here. So let's say we have a cache, let's get my purple rather. So let's say we have a request that comes in for object number 1 here, or key number 1 in this case. There's two kind of different scenarios that can play out. There's either what's called a cache miss or a cache hit. And a cache miss is when we attempt to retrieve a specific item from the cache and it isn't there. So we need to go and look up that item in the database. And a cache hit is when the object already exists in your cache. So when a request comes in, you just kind of return it right away. But let's walk through both of those examples in depth here and just talk about what it actually looks like. So let's talk about the cache miss scenario first, which is the suboptimal scenario. So again, a request comes in for key 1, and what this application server gets the request, and what does this server do? So it looks in the cache and says, this item isn't here. So it returns that fact back to the server. The server will then make a request to the database. The database will respond with that data, right? Let me get my green. Database will respond with that data, but before kind of returning the data back to the client like we saw in the previous example, it will insert that data into the cache so that when a request comes in next time, the data will already be in the cache, so that when that next request comes in, it'll be much quicker. So this is great, as you can imagine, for data that changes very infrequently. You get a very big performance boost. So that's really where the benefit of the cache comes in on the subsequent calls where data already exists. So after it puts that item into the cache, it'll return that data back to the client. So this is a cache miss scenario. So I already kind of talked about the cache hit scenario, but let's just go over that again, just in case it wasn't clear. So in the cache hit scenario, so this takes place after a miss, obviously. So data already exists in the cache. Actually, let's just put the 1 there to signify the 1 item is there. And maybe this can be like an object or something, it could be really anything. You can cache anything you want. So request comes in, application server gets it, looks in the cache, hey, it's there. So we don't need to do a lookup in the database now, and then it just returns that data back to the client right away. So you can imagine the latency of this request in the cache hit scenario is much better when compared to the cache miss scenario. We need to do all those extra lookups and looking into the database as well. So in terms of the benefits of why caching is good, so the positives, so you get better usage of your machine here. So obviously this stuff is all sitting in memory. So this machine is going to be better utilized in terms of its resources. In terms of the cons, so what's bad about this approach, the cons are that you have a case where data can change on the database and the cache that's sitting on your application machine now may not have the updated data. So when a request comes in from the client, your cache may be serving stale data. So you need to make sure whatever data you're caching, it's highly cacheable in the sense that it doesn't change very often. Or if it does change on your database side, you need some mechanism of voiding your cache. And that can be done using what's called a centralized cache, and that's a different example or a different technology that I'll talk about in a different video. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and check out my one on the right here on SQL versus NoSQL. And as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.